I think those people who keep telling those stories of when I was a child, you see my parents, you see my this, and they're 35 years old, but they're seeing my parents, and you're a whole, you've bridged, you're no longer a youth, you're 36.
When does protection to a child with albinism start? Is it easier when you start earlier or when you start later on in life?
The protection should start as early as possible. I started wearing glasses when I went to school, so that's 3-4 years old.
Yeah.
I was learning to wear glasses even before I learned how to write. So, there's still a number of schools which are forcing children with albinism to pursue Braille, like I did, or they're not really recognizing their educational needs like everyone else. To parents of children with albinism, I know this might be, it's all new to you. Maybe you're in an environment where you're the only one who has this child with albinism and no one else in your immediate family has a child with albinism, and you're just wondering, what do I do? But I think every child is a gift from God, so treat the child as a gift, and as they grow up, that confidence and love that you pour into them, it is what will carry them up to their old age, because I think for me it is what is carrying me up to now. The love and acceptance and the peace that I had as a child is carrying me now.
Where do we start?
Anywhere.
We'll do it therapy style.
Okay.
Do you ever, okay, probably personal question, do you go to therapy?
I have never, but it's something I will be open to.
So you've not found yourself in a situation of wanting to go to therapy?
Maybe I have, but I didn't really actually go to therapy, but because I did psychology, so I tried to do a bit of self-counseling.
So you sort of prescribe yourself?
Yes. But I know if I ever get to that stage where I know I need help, I'll be open to that. I do believe in therapy, so yeah. I would go for therapy.
It is a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
There is a lady that I was speaking to like 2 weeks ago. She was like, actually I thought it is a main thing, but she was like, no, me, need therapy. Really? I had to deal with it personally, and up until whatever was crossing her issue. Yeah. Just trying to find an icebreaker. So
yeah, I think people are different, so whatever works for you. It's a journey, even that acceptance that maybe you have an issue that you need help sorting out. It's a journey. Yeah.
Interesting. Talking about journeys, yours has been one that many people think has been documented, but has it really been documented?
Parts of
where
it.
It all started.
Yeah. Parts of it have. I have been lucky to be involved in projects which documented a bit of my childhood, growing up, what I've been able to do as a young adult. So parts of it have been documented, but definitely there are a lot more parts which haven't been documented.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paint a picture for us between what has been documented and that has not been documented.
I think my first opportunity to get something documented when I was younger was, I think when I was in Form 1 or something like that. There was a either a German or a Russian researcher who was here, and then somehow we got connected, and they did document a bit of me in school with my sister and my mom. They were doing something about the skin. I can't remember what the name was, but it's somewhere on YouTube. But I think it was called Skin Deep. So that they were researching on albinism, of course, amongst other skin issues. So that was my first documentation. So I remember we went to school, they captured us playing, and a bit of my teachers or my head principal was interviewed in terms of how are they able to accept us or maybe take care of our needs in the school. So that was that. And then afterwards, in high school, was there anything else? I don't think anything else happened while I was in high school until I graduated. And then when I was in USIU now, when I was in college, a friend of mine who was also very interested in people with disabilities or people with albinism, we recorded something. I think that definitely is on YouTube. So it was just showing my life in USIU, my life in college, how I interact with people. A few of my lecturers are also interviewed in terms of what are they doing as an institution to cater to my needs as a person with albinism, and to a larger extent to people with disabilities, and also my friends. What do they think about our interaction, and what their first thought when they saw me? So that was also captured.
Oh, interesting. And even as you were sharing at that particular time, did you really did you cringe in any way, like why is this person really interested in capturing my life story?
Not really. I jumped at the opportunity because for me it was a way to create awareness, and I didn't have that growing up. I didn't have something out there to learn or to refer to in terms of how do these people live. So me being an example to other people, I really jumped at that opportunity in terms of creating awareness, and I would always jump at that opportunity even right now.
Yeah. Interesting, because I will bring myself into this. I will force myself into the story.
Okay. Yeah.
I only got to interact with a group of persons with albinism in 2018. Like a huge number of us, yeah? And you grew up with a sister. Did this sort of, I'm going to use a euphemism here, sort of give you a blind spot to what really other persons with albinism might be going through in terms of stigmatization and everything? Did this ever occur to you, or you're like, okay, we are two different young girls, and we are being looked at differently in the society? And did you ever have the urge of becoming the defender of your sister?
In a way, yes, I'm a firstborn, so there's that responsibility thrown on you as
Deputy
a firstborn.
parent, yeah.
Deputy parent, protector. Yes, you're the standard, the SI unit of everything. So definitely growing up, I was lucky to be in a household where I didn't feel discriminated. I actually only felt different when I was out there playing with other children. That's when I felt different. When I was in school, that's when I felt different from everyone else. But my parents created an environment where we were treated like just normal people. Like if you were beaten like everyone else, you were disciplined like everyone else, you got the same opportunities. They were definitely overprotective because they were also learning how to be very careful about handling us, and also there was so much going on when we were younger. With the level of awareness, it was quite low, so they had to be very overprotective of us. But otherwise, I growing up with a sister with albinism, it was quite interesting because I remember my mom told me when she came home with my sister from the hospital, and I looked at her, I looked at this baby she came with, the first thing I said was, she looks like me. And I think at that point, of course, I sort of now thrust that responsibility of taking care of her because she's like me. You see that identity, like I have someone else like me. But if I grew up in a family where I was the only one with albinism, maybe that my thoughts will be different. But now growing up with now a younger sister, it made it easier to just see I'm not weird. I am okay.
You're okay.
I'm okay. And we could just grow up normally.
It's interesting because still my experiences growing up, I had this phobia of looking at myself in the mirror. Like I was not really comfortable with the person that I would see in the mirror. But now your sister comes home and you're like, she looks like me. You did not have this fear. You often looked at yourself and marveled. Or you look knowing that you're a little bit different from the kids that you're playing with.
Yes.
Where does this awareness really come from?
I definitely had a lot of questions growing up because before I met now other people with albinism, even though my sister was there, it's not the same. You're like, maybe it's just here, but that's it. So before, when I was a child, before I now interacted with other people with albinism out there, I'll be like, oh, maybe it's just us, and I accept it. My parents accept me, so I don't have to think much about it because I didn't feel stigmatized per se. And as long as you have that immediate parental love and care, you don't care about the rest of the world. So that's what I normally tell parents. As long as you accept your child as he or she is, the rest of the world will not matter because they get that love from you. They won't look for it anywhere else. They won't look for validation anywhere else if you give it as a parent. So I got that love, I got the validation, I got the protection. So I didn't really have a lot of questions. I had questions, but it wasn't really burning.
I must find out.
Yeah, it wasn't a burning issue to me because I already got the basic needs as a child from my immediate environment. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. The play. You know, the community that I grew in, it's either you were cunning to be able to play, or you did not end up playing. You would end up being not necessarily locked, but you'll be negated from the guys who are playing. Kati, chamama, chababa, did this ever come easy to you and all of that?
I actually loved play as a child. I really loved play too much.
Yeah.
I think every week I would break my glasses because of playing. As a we had a whole drawer of broken glasses. We could open our own Optica if we wanted to.
That's a good one.
So we had a whole drawer of broken. I would break my glasses a lot as a child when I was playing, and I think it reached a point. I think in class 4 or 5, I had enough of the play, and now I cooled down. But I definitely had my play. I had scars everywhere, wounds everywhere because of play, and because with our eyesight, Kati, you will always get hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will always fall at the weirdest parts. So I had my knees were just something else as a child. So I really enjoyed play as a child, and I got that.
Yeah, interesting. You say that you had a whole Optica in the house, and mine, the excuse was, huyu tukimbaia miwani atavunja tu. So they ended up never buying. And I only started using sort of glasses when I was way old and all of that. And this takes me to my next question. When does protection to a child with albinism start? Is it easier when you start earlier or when you start later on in life? Because you know, people like Dr. Choksi and any other organization that is providing protection services or products to persons with albinism, they would say that, no, start at this particular age. No, my skin does not allow me to use sunscreen, you know, what, yada, yada, yada. From your experience, when should protection to a child with albinism start?
Yeah, in my opinion, the protection should start as early as possible. I started wearing glasses when I went to school, so that's 3-4 years old. I was learning to wear glasses even before I learned how to write.
You had a more bigger responsibility on your face.
Yes, I had glasses from a very early age, and I remember the earlier you train your eyes to work with the glasses, I think the easier it is. Because I do remember as a child, billboards were a problem for me to see. I would see just colors, but I wouldn't be able to read. But with time, when you wear the glasses continually, then sort of your eyesight becomes stronger, or they help you navigate better around your environment. But as early as possible, glasses are important if you're able to afford them, because also cost. Cost is a big factor. If the parent is able to afford, please give the glasses as early as possible, so to just learn how to take care of them and incorporate them in your life. Sunscreen, I'll go with prevention is better than cure. For a young child, of course, your skin is still developing. Sunscreens are chemicals. As much as, yes, we can't do without them, they are chemicals. So as a child, if you can stay out of the sun as much as possible, you may not need sunscreen. Or if you always wear protective clothing, stay indoors, although the place they are calling you, like it was calling me. At that time, you have to wear sunscreen. But if you're indoors as a child before 10 years old, try to avoid it, because it's still chemicals you're introducing to a very young body, which is still developing.
Interesting. I've never looked at it like that, because I was like, just wear your sunscreen.
It's not just that. There's so many types of sunscreens. There's mineral, there's topical. You have to find out what works for you.
I hear there is also herbal as well.
Sorry?
Herbal.
Yes, there's also herbal, but anyway, it's still chemicals. I don't trust it fully organic. It can never be fully organic to provide the protection that it's proving to providing, or they claim to provide. I doubt it.
Have we ever done, or has research ever been done extensively? Because it used to sort of itch me to ask myself, it can't be that a sunscreen is the only thing that can protect our skins from the UV rays.
That's a good question. I know, I think 2 years ago, there was a professor in either KU or JQuat doing research on organic sunscreen or something like that.
Yeah.
But nothing has really come out yet to really prove it or give more information around it. In TZ, I know there's an organization which makes their own sunscreen.
Yeah.
Still, even when I ask them, they still have a bit of chemicals here and there. So it's a journey. It's a journey in terms of really identifying what really works for us and what is safe and what levels are really safe for us to use in terms of the ingredients of the sunscreen.
Interesting. So high school is where things sort of, because primary school, I would say in my situation that primary school wasn't that really engaging you, always in your corner. But now you go into high school, you're moving into a community where younger adults are there. Everybody's sort of creating their perspectives and perceptions about the world. How was your experience in high school?
Yeah, high school was quite interesting. Let me go back a bit to primary. So my mom was a teacher. And when we started school, she actually rearranged her whole life and joined the school we were in so that she could really be there for us and educate the teachers on
Now
our
I
needs.
understand where you say that she was protective.
Yes, she was. She literally rearranged her life.
Yeah.
So she joined the school that we were, and every class we proceeded to, she'll talk to the teachers and let them know about her needs, like write legible letters on the board, speak what you write, the little things. Let her sit in front, because we were arranged in class according to alphabetical order. So sometimes I'll always end up at the back, but I will be rearranged to sit because of the G. Yes, so I'll be somewhere in the middle. So I'll be rearranged to sit in front. So those small little things made a difference. So primary, I was quite protected. I was sorted. I was really sorted in terms of my needs being met as a person with albinism to really excel. Now, when I went to high school, mom couldn't join me there. So I was on my own. I was really on my own. I had to speak up. So, and then that's another thing I normally tell people with albinism. No one can really see how you see. No one can really fit in your shoes and see the world the way you see. So you have to speak up and explain yourself at times, over-explain yourself even. Just be a nag at some point so that people can really get it. Otherwise, no one will really get it. So high school, I had to learn how to speak up. And then another thing I faced in high school was Braille. When I was in primary, I had no idea what Braille was. I'd read Helen Keller's story, and that was it.
That's the farthest
that was the farthest I knew about Braille, Helen Keller, and that. So when I went to high school, it was an integrated school, but the policy there wasn't really favorable for me. They said I couldn't use large print, and they insisted I learn Braille. So I had to learn a new language. It's another extra subject for me. So I had to learn Braille, but it was only for 4 years. That's what my mom encouraged me with. She's like, just do it. It's just 4 years. It's a good school. It is a good school. So we'll not get into that. It was a good school, but I had to learn Braille. I learned it, used it in my KCSE. It didn't make it easy because I went there with good grades. I didn't come out with the grades that I expected.
Because that was my next question.
This the miscommunication and pressure. And now you're doing your exams, everything is there. You have to think and then translate into another language. You see, it's like doing your exam in French. So that was a bit of a challenge, but still I managed. But high school was just rocky.
Ups and downs.
It was a bit up and down at that point. But I think it made me to who I am right now because of that. And I appreciate the skills that I learned with Braille. Sometimes here and there people call me to verify things like buildings and the lifts because they have the Braille part in the lifts. So I'm always called to verify. Come confirm if this is what it says it is. So it's a skill I learned, which I don't use as much, but it's a skill.
Interesting. I would be interested. It would be fascinating because I always look at the other day where I was speaking to Julius Mbura, who is Supercharge, and he was sort of talking about Brianna, I was really amazed because that's not something that I got to experience. Yeah, I ate the book literally. My eye was on the book and my pen right next to it. Yeah. What memory would you say, apart from the education aspect, what memory would you say that you dread from high school? Because we all have one or two that we're like, if time ever goes back, I would have corrected that particular thing.
High school. Any memory I dread? I didn't face bullying, but there were a few scary incidents here and there. I think there's some drama that goes through high school, Kenyan high schools. There's a weird term. That happened after, but I think second term, there will be some spirits roaming, some weird spirits, some weird things will be happening in second term. So those are the few things I remember. And I think when you get exposed to people from different parts of Kenya and they come with their own cultural beliefs and you've been shielded in your childhood and then you come to high school and people are telling you things and you're like, what is that? Yeah, so I guess just that, my mind being opened up to all these different cultural things around me and the different interactions, that was a bit scary at some point. Some people took it too far, I think. I think some people took it too far. They'll be doing some weird things and I'll be like, okay, that is creepy, but okay, yeah.
Interesting. I had just thought about a question as you were speaking there, because and it totally escaped me, because what is it? Why am I forgetting? Yes, when you tell other persons with albinism or other persons with disabilities within your circle that you really never went through bullying, don't they look at you in a surprising way? Because that is something that I've also always shared. I'm like, no, I had never found myself in a situation of being bullied. And they're like, no, you're even lying. I remember there is even a story that we're doing, and I told them blatantly, honestly, the stories that you're trying to ask me share, I don't have any of those experiences. Does this happen to you?
Yes, it does. It does, because now definitely, like when I was working for Dr. Choksi, I would meet all kinds of people who've gone through so much stigmatization and so much discrimination. And when they look at you and they're like, you can't really understand what I went through because they've heard your story. So definitely that. But you're able to still empathize with someone without actually being in that situation. So, yeah.
How do you get yourself there to empathize? I was asking somebody if they ever turn back. They're like, honestly, I really want to try and understand, but I can't understand that. I can't relate with that. Yeah.
It's not for everyone. I'll start there. It's not for everyone. And it's your personality. If your personality is, you're able to really internalize someone's struggle or someone's story as they tell it, then you're able to get that to that level where you can empathize. But there's some people who just don't have that skill. You either have it or you don't. You can't force it, really.
Absolutely.
You can't force it. Yeah.
Okay. So high school, marks not so good as they were in primary school.
But good enough to get me to university.
Exactly, yeah.
Good enough to get me to university, which was good.
Yeah. I guess university, you landed at USIU.
Yes.
When you landed at USIU, what next?
Oof, my mind just opened up in another level. I thought now the cultural interactions in Kenya were enough, but now USIU being an international institution, it exposed me to so much more in terms of different nationalities, the system of education. It kind of took me back to primary, because my primary school also had a bit of exposure to the British curriculum. So now coming to USIU with the American standards and way of doing things, that was quite an eye-opening experience. I would recommend it to anyone who can. But at least now they do have scholarships with MasterCard. You really can get an opportunity to get that kind of exposure, which is really life-changing. And I was able to build my confidence, because in USIU you talk a lot. You do a lot of presentations. You do a lot of collaboration with your fellow students. So those skills, if you're not able to hone them early, it's very difficult to move forward, or rather in the working environment, or even now socially grow as a person if you didn't hone those skills early. How to speak up, how to present yourself, how to prepare a presentation or a document or a paper. So those skills are really valuable, really valuable.
You're going to talk to us about what you did in uni, but let me take you back.
Yeah. Okay.
Did a question like, Grace, when you grow up, what do you want to be? Did it ever come up in your household? And when it came up at that particular time, what did you tell your mom or your dad or the entire family setting? And later on in USIU, do those two things align, or
Definitely not. I think growing up, there were like 3 things you could become: a doctor, a lawyer. I can't remember what else. I think I picked one of them as a child. I can't really remember what I said I'll be as a child, but definitely not what I'm doing right now. But my first sort of maybe exposure to a hint of what I could become when I was older was in high school. We had something called peer counselors, where we'll nominate a student. Other students will nominate a student to be a peer counselor, or you'll nominate yourself to be a peer counselor, and then now you just be a bridge between you and the teachers in terms of any social issues going on. You'll be able to just step in and see how you can help. So I got nominated as a peer counselor, and people will just come to me and tell me stuff. So I think that's when I was honing the empathy skills or something.
Okay.
So yeah, people will just stop me and tell me things, and I'm like, okay. And I'll just listen. So when I went to USIU, there was a wave. There's a wave of IR. So that's what I registered initially to do, international relations. It was a very hot course to do at that time, so that's what I registered. But I think after my first class, my introductory class to IR, international relations, I was like, no, this is not me. This is not me. So I'd registered IR to be my major, and psychology to be my minor, because I was like, okay, let me do psychology. It's an interesting course. It will help me understand myself, help me understand people around me, and just see how it will help them in a better way. So I went back to my career counselor. In USIU, we had people like that. So again, why I recommend USIU, you have a career counselor. I've not been paid to advertise, but yes, I hope they still have them. So I went to my career counselor and I told him, I don't think IR is for me. So can we switch? Maybe we put psychology as a major and IR as a minor. So we did that. But by the end of that semester, I was sure I don't want anything to do with IR. I don't want to be a diplomat or whatever we're being told we would become if you do IR. So I switched to management, or rather business management. That's now HR. That's why HR comes in, which I'm doing right now. So I did psychology. It was quite an interesting course. I was able to understand a lot about myself, a lot about the people who are around me, close family members who are around me, and I will just understand why are people acting the way they do. Because you infer through the actions. People will never really tell you what's going on, but with their behavior, it speaks louder than words. So it really helped me understand. And I wanted to work with kids. Eventually, by the time I was finishing my degree, I was very certain that I want to work with children with special needs, and I actually did my community service in a school which has students with developmental issues like autism, dyslexia, and I really loved my time there. But then this opportunity in a bank came in, and I just fell into HR and loved it, and then my career now changed to that.
Entirely. How then do you transit from uni, young adulthood, now into employment? But also, even before we go there, Grace, I'm not going to lie to you. You are considered one of the tough ones. Why do you think this is so? Probably people will finally get to know why they believe like, kama ni Grace hapana, huyu sitamwongelesha.
I am considered. But I'm really nice. I know that some people who know the other side of me, they will speak in the comments when this goes up. But I think I'm considered very tough because when I look at people, I just want to see the best out of them. And my way of bringing it out
is by being tough on them.
I guess it is by being tough on them, because I see your potential. Why can't you see it? I see it, but
Yeah.
I need you to see it. And I'll be very passionate about bringing it out of you in a way. So I think that's why maybe I'm considered tough. But it's only because I want the best. Only because I want the best and I see the potential and I
Yeah.
just want you to see it. Yeah.
So what do you think what do you think is the barrier to those people to see the grit that is in them?
That's a very good question. Self-awareness, self-confidence, self-identity. So when you don't have that, when the levels are really low, then you're not able to see what you can do or your abilities. So power of the mind, it's really, really important how you see yourself and then how you present yourself to the world, and that determines how the world takes you. So I normally tell people, when you put yourself at 100, of course the world won't see you at 100, they'll see you at 80.
Yeah.
But if you put yourself at 20, they will see you at 10. So please just try to always put yourself at 100, so that at worst they'll see you at 80.
At 80.
So yeah, how you view yourself really speaks to how you show up and how other people view you. Yeah.
Probably with your experience with working with kids, and I know there is a stint that you had with the Dr. Jokes Albinism Foundation. Which are some of the stories that you had and you're like, no, this is overboard?
I remember there's a day I went to Kawangware slums. I'd never been there in my life, but I got this call that this lady had twins.
Yeah.
And she had no one, and she had like 7 other kids, and I was like, I have to see this for myself.
That's a total of 9.
Yes. So it was quite, I think I really learned to appreciate and be very grateful for my upbringing when I was working for Dr. Choksi, because I'd meet all kinds of people who didn't have the same opportunities that I did have. So I learned to be very grateful with the opportunities I had and the life that I had managed to have. It definitely isn't perfect, but it was much better than what I really saw across. And just reaching out to people, counseling them. Now when they see now and grown up with albinism and they have these 2-year-olds or 1-year-old, then they have hope. So I think that business was all about giving hope.
Yeah.
Dr. Choksi gives a lot of hope, and I was lucky to share in that kind of environment in giving hope, because if you don't have hope, then you can't move forward. You can't see anything beyond your struggles if there's no hope and there's nothing to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You talked about the 2-year-olds. Do you ever feel like overdoing when you come across them? Probably it might not be good to share, but like 2 weeks ago I went out with 3 young boys with albinism, and we went out to participate in a basketball tournament, and after participating I was like, let me give these guys a treat that probably they've never had in their life. We ate out, and we went for shopping, and everybody gave them a cart and everything, and they went home, everybody with like a bag full of food and all of that. But when I went home and did the budget of how much it costed me to do all of that, I was like, oh my goodness, that was a big dent. So my question is, when you look at these young ones and you're like, I am seeing myself in these young kids, do you ever go overboard in terms of wanting just to make a difference in their life?
Yes, I think at the beginning, yes, I think I did that, because you're so overwhelmed and you're like, oh my God, what did you go through? And I'm so lucky, or they make you feel so lucky. So you feel entitled, obligated to help and try to lift up their lives, but you can only do so much. You can only do so much. So with time I realized you have to give them the gift of fishing for themselves instead of you presenting the bread to them, if it makes sense. So that gift of fishing for themselves, linking them to opportunities that will help them grow, not just putting money into their hands. If you ask me for money, I'll ask you, what do you need it for? And then let's work on that. That is your need. But if you need it for shopping, I'm like, no, tell me.
Probably that's the toughness there.
Yes, I'll always ask, what is it for? If you need my help, what kind of help do you need, and how can I empower you? I'll go into the way of empowerment as opposed to just giving and giving.
Interesting. That will lead me to another question of many persons with albinism have probably I'm also guilty. We've felt the urge of starting up organizations for us to be able to do a bit of impact within the communities and amongst ourselves. But you're one of the few people that I know that has managed to do tremendous work within the community, but never started an organization of your own. I think the farthest you went is a WhatsApp group.
Yes. Yes.
Why did you decide to take this route?
I think everyone has their own sphere of influence, and I would rather work with my sphere of influence. I don't need an organization per se, but maybe that time will come. But I haven't really felt the deep urge to start an organization. It is good when other people do it, and I'm happy to plug into them. I'm really happy to plug into other people's projects. But I think the way my life is right now, and it keeps evolving, an organization, I'm not seeing the impact that I want to create, maybe personally having an organization as opposed to just plugging into projects, because there's a certain freedom I get with just being out there everywhere and having my impact felt in different places, as opposed to just being known as Grace Nzomo Foundation did this, or Grace Nzomo Foundation these other things. So I think I like that, my style, it works for me. But if anyone feels like starting an organization, it's okay, it's all good, and I will be happy to advise them, because I have been involved in registration of organizations and coming up with a constitution. So I'm happy to provide that knowledge and information to guide. I think I like my guiding role in life, as opposed to really being in the forefront, influencing without really being at the forefront.
Leading without a set of position. I think that is Sharma, something who wrote that book. And then I would ask, so many organizations have been founded, so many have failed, so many have succeeded. Let me be honest. So many have been or sort of founded, very little or very few have done really groundbreaking work. What do you think bedevils some of the organizations of persons with albinism? And I would dare say, right now, seemingly, we do not have a national organization for albinism.
It's true. I think the advocacy organizations start from a good place, but somewhere along the way something comes and just changes everything. But I like to believe that they all started from a good place, like they saw a gap, they saw a need, and they wanted to fill that need, or they wanted to create an impact. And I think maybe the world is not fair, probably the world is not fair, which is true. But then even if you purpose to do something, principles are very important. Sticking to your principles. If you said, I would want to do this, and I would want to educate children, I would want to provide sunscreen, just do it. And if you can't, have the courage to admit that I failed. I think they also don't want to admit that I wanted to do this and it worked for the first 2 years, but then afterwards maybe funds ran out, my connections dwindled, something happened. It's good to admit that, yes, I'm not able to do what I wanted to do, and maybe this is how I want to evolve. But hiding behind that organization, hiding behind that organization and saying this was our mission but not acting on it, I think that is really a disservice, really a disservice. If you're not able to do it, just step aside. There are many other people who are willing to take up that role if you'd let them. But now you standing in that space and claiming to do something you're not doing, that is what now gives other people the lack of confidence to trust you, to not feel like doing now this advocacy anymore, because you're like, okay, this organization claims to do this, but what are they really doing? So you feel just very discouraged.
Interesting. You're one of the key people who are instrumental in the first celebrations of the International Albinism Awareness Day. This is 2013. Paint a picture for us.
Well, 2013, I just finished. I'd finished high school. I was in college. I was in college at that time, so I had a lot of energy, a lot of time,
Yeah.
and a lot of confidence, because I think you also need confidence to stand in front of people and speak your conviction and run an event. So that was quite interesting. What was the theme? Let me just refer to what the theme was in
2013. I honestly don't remember.
No, the first one was 2015.
2015, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
2015.
Yeah.
So that one, I didn't do much, but the 2016 one, when I was working for Safaricom,
Yeah.
again, a really great opportunity presented itself to work with Bob Collymore, the late Bob Collymore, to come up with an event where we could celebrate International Albinism Awareness Day and create awareness. Again, I jumped at the chance of creating awareness in terms of my colleagues, finding now parents to come to this space, Michael Joseph Center. I know a lot of people, that was their first time coming to that place, and just having a day to celebrate ourselves, celebrate our talent, because I remember, I think John and I danced at that event, and it was quite
It created
groundbreaking.
a stir.
Yeah, it did. So that was quite impactful, because when you're able to give people a safe space to be themselves, I think that is very, very empowering. And that's when they're able to really identify their talents, identify what are they good at, break into that, be in a safe space and just be themselves. That, I think that was my goal, and that is what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at those 10-year span of celebrating, actually 2022 should be 10 years. 2024, sorry.
2024, yeah.
Yeah, should be 10 years. Have you seen real change happen from a Kenyan context?
Yes, in the journey of now celebrating International Albinism Awareness Day throughout the 10 years, it's like I would compare it to the Maslow law of hierarchy.
Yeah.
We started with protect our rights, basic needs, just
Yeah.
see us, be us, and give us a chance to just exist. And then the following themes were inclusion, celebrate us. So we are getting more comfortable into this space of just being, and the level of awareness grew with every passing year. It's a journey. We are not maybe where we wanted to be, but it's a journey, and I think life is much better for people with albinism right now than it was 10 years ago. I'm sure people like Alex Munyere will tell you the stories and the horror stories they went through when they were my age or in high school about the discrimination and the lack of awareness and sunscreen not being readily available to people with albinism. It's a journey, and I hope we can continue in that momentum, and we will not allow politics to get into it. And by politics, I don't mean like Kenyan politics, but those selfish interests
that a single person might have.
single person, and people refusing to get over a position where they know they can no longer serve the purpose that they said they would run. So that's that kind of politics. I wish we can move past that and grow and really just give rise to other leaders to come in with fresh ideas while still holding their hands as the people who have been there in the past and have seen the journey through. But it's good to also just step aside and give a chance to someone else to just run their thing, because also someone gave you a chance to step into that gap. You're not there to stay there forever to be like this president who stayed for 24 years. So if it's your time, if you served your purpose to the best of your ability, live with a clear conscience.
I know you might not want us to dwell onto that, but from also our management perspective, I would think, wouldn't one want to dwell in a place because they're like, somebody might come into the space and they might outwork me, and people would eventually look at me as a person who failed, and they would totally negate the things that I did. Don't you think that that might be a scare to some of the people who have stayed long in this space?
For sure, that may be a scare to those who want to hold on to that position forever. But if you're really being true to yourself, I don't think that would scare you unless you're pretending. If you're pretending, definitely you'd want people to just see this face that you put on. And if you're done, you don't want to tell people that really, I think, whatever connections or whatever I wanted to do, I can't do it anymore. But if you're really true to yourself, you won't care what people think. You say, I was here, I came, I did this, I have made my impact, whatever amount it looks like, and it's now I will live. I have fulfilled my wish, I have fulfilled my purpose. So that's how I would see it. Yeah.
You've said definitely albinism is not where it was 10 years ago, but which are some of those things that you look at and you're like, okay, we aren't doing so glamorously here still yet?
Yes, I think in terms of maybe our education system to some extent, there's still a number of schools which are forcing children with albinism to pursue Braille, like I did, or they're not really recognizing their educational needs like everyone else in terms of large print, understanding their psychosocial also background, because when you come from an environment where you don't feel accepted, I think teachers should be counselors to some extent to understand those other needs, not just the education. Yes, a child is here to learn, but they're also here to learn life skills and how to cope with the world around them. So I think maybe we could do better in terms of coping skills and integration into for students with albinism, how to integrate better with the society through the school. And I think that then later on when you move from school into the workplace, then it will be a whole other different thing, because once you learn your life skills and how to cope and how to speak up and how to really just be confident, that self-confidence for me is really, really huge. And if you learn it early, then you're able to cope with your life moving forward as you integrate into the world.
And you segued me into something that I wanted to go into next, employment. If you had a company of your own, you'd have been one of the biggest employers of persons with albinism. What would you say, this is a person who sort of, okay, university opens you up a little bit, but still now you are being thrown into a pool of people that now you can't depict their social mannerisms and all of that in the working environment. Which are some of the things that you even yourself faced when you like, banking, here I am, which are some of the challenges, and you're like, okay, I expected people to be a little bit better off here than the outside world.
Yeah, true. I think when I was doing my internship and I was in a department where I had to look at a lot of data on a weekly basis. So of course the strain, it was very new to me, because I was used to now working with people and I didn't have to read as much and strain my eyes. But now moving into banking and you have to analyze a lot of data, thousands of transactions on a weekly basis. I struggled for a few months, and then I was like, okay, why am I struggling? And I can speak up.
What's the worst that can happen?
I had to remind myself, I'm the only one who suffers. No one here cares as long as I'm doing the job. As long as I'm doing the job, no one cares about the struggle that I went through. So I spoke up and I said, I'm struggling with this data and I would love to work, but if I could be moved to a department where I don't have to look at data
all the
time, I would love to still work for you guys. And the person in charge of that program happily moved me to another department. So if you don't speak up, you will never know that someone is willing to meet your needs. And I think people are always willing to meet your needs if they're able to, if you just speak up and give a solution. Like you're good with people, work with people. If you're good with data, work with data, but don't strain at your own expense trying to please people who once you're not able to do the job, they will just let you go.
It's interesting because it could be either of two sides of the coin. I might be straining because honestly I understand how hard it was for me to get here. So the moment I make a squint of a sound,
I know
that is the fastest that I am out. And in my own capacity, many people have reached out and they're like, hey, Alan, I am being discriminated at my workplace. What are you able to do? And I'm like, Sasa, me, in my smallest capacity, how can I come and talk to an employer who is giving you a paycheck? In such a situation, how would you talk to somebody to balance those particular things? Because a number of us have tarmacked. So by the time they are even getting that opportunity, that voice, they just want that voice to die out so that they stay low, they do what they can and keep that job.
I totally understand where that is coming from. And I normally tell just anyone who comes into the workforce, develop a good relationship with your colleagues, with your manager, because your colleagues are your first advocates. Like when I started working in the banking industry, and small things would really affect me. And if I didn't speak up, my colleagues wouldn't understand. Like where I was seated, there used to be a window across from me.
Yeah.
So I would always insist on the curtains being drawn, and other people would be like, no, this is an office. Why are you making it into a bedroom? Someone would say, this is a bedroom. You're making it into a bedroom. But I would try to tell them that, you see, the UV rays are coming in through the shears, through the window. And sometimes I would even have a sunburn, and I'm indoors because I'm simply facing the window. So once they see that my face is really pink, and I'll tell them, you see, it's because I said this curtain is open. But now coming to work, if you feel that, yes, maybe you're feeling kind of discriminated and someone is being unfair to you, or your workload is not, it's really straining for your eyes, again, it's very good to have a good relationship with your manager. Have those regular check-ins, and not just coming from your manager to always ask you, what are you doing, what are you doing? Also bring up ideas, understand the work that you do, ask a lot of questions so that you can always find solutions that don't really need you to be maybe outside, if you have to work outside in the sun, or to look at a lot of data. And I think when you're given, I think our minds work very differently as a person with albinism. Like, for example, my mind works very differently. I like to find solutions to something. I like finding shortcuts. So when I'm entering into a room and I have to read something far, I will start reading from the door and going into the middle of the room, and I memorize. So your memory, for me, my memories are it's my superpower. So I memorize a lot of things, and then when I have to read something at the back of the room, I'll remember, oh, I read it when I was entering. So you have to find those little tricks to survive.
I remember there is even a time I wanted to do short clips about how to survive as a person with albinism.
So for me, I like memorizing a lot of things. So memorize things. Even when I'm working on the computer, people think I'm so good, but it's because I've memorized where those keys are, the shortcuts, and I'll always do things. So work with those special skills that you have learned to identify that you have, and then make them your superpower and hone them, and then people now always come to you for that, and they will now actually release you from whatever was training you and work on your other special skill that you really developed.
Interesting. Many employers have embraced employing persons with disabilities, and it is said that the biggest beneficiaries are persons with albinism. But then there is that connotation of okay, I'm a person with a disability, then there isn't much that the employer is going to do to me, so I will just show up and I will do the bare minimum. You are in HR. Have you come across such employees, and where do you think that stems for, even from a psychologist point of view?
Yes, I think it stems from a point of feeling entitled, because you feel...
But you've been discriminated all your life. What are you entitled about?
No, not that. Because yes, you see, as we celebrate International Albinism Awareness Day, you demand that my rights be protected. You demand so many things. Even as we're celebrating this day, yes, we acknowledge the journey. We're not demanding for things, but people take that and preach a gospel of demanding, like it is our right to be employed. It's war, it's a fight all the time. And when you compare someone who's grown up where they lacked a lot of those basic needs versus someone who had those basic needs, the one who lacked them is always fighting for them. And it's not their fault. It's only because they grew up not having them, so they feel like they really have to fight for them now that they are empowered or older, or now they have the might. You see, as a child, you can't do much. You just accept whatever. But as you become an adult, all those things you went through as a child, you're like, no, I will not go through that again. So everything is a fight right now. So that's how I see it as a psychologist. Those people who are always fighting and entitled, it's because they lacked those things as a child. So you have to really talk to them and heal that inner child. You have to heal the inner child and say, yes, you went through this, but it's not a fight anymore. You can reason with words. Now you're an adult. You can reason with words. You don't have to fight about it. And you also have a responsibility as an adult. You signed a contract. The contract said we'll pay you if you did this. So are you doing what you said you'll do for us to pay you? It's a two-way street. You just can't exist and then we keep paying you and you keep understanding. We ask for understanding, but not that kind of understanding. There's an extent to how much people can understand you. You also have a role to play in understanding yourself. Understanding yourself and also understanding where other people are coming from.
Interesting. From that, I ask, when does somebody stop telling their story of, oh, you know, I was discriminated, stigmatized? Because I believe also that contributes to some of these things that we go into, that we go through on a daily basis, that we've carried this story for so long that we do not know when to let it go. Do we ever stop? Is there a point from your own perspective, is there a point that you're supposed to sort of take this dress off and put it aside and say, okay, it's time I adapt a new story?
I think those people who keep telling those stories of when I was a child, you see my parents, you see my this, and they're 35 years old, but they're saying my parents, and you're a whole, you're no longer a youth, you're 36. So sadly, it's people who haven't healed. So you see, they need help to first heal.
They've postponed their healing.
They've postponed their healing. They still hold on to the hurt, to the frustration. So I can't really tell you when to stop telling your story. You will stop telling your story when you have healed, sadly. Yes, but if you're 36 and you're talking about, oh, my mother rejected me, I know it hurts. But maybe you're someone's mother. You now need to love your child.
You need to be there for somebody else.
You need to be there for someone else. And as much as, yes, you went through this, heal. Find a psychologist, find a therapist, talk it out, heal, so that you don't carry that generational trauma. Because if you keep telling that story, even as you're 40, you probably have a child at that point, and they carry that trauma. Yes, they'll carry that trauma. So please heal for the sake of the next generation. Make it better. Yes, you went through this challenge, but how do you ensure that the people who are still younger than you or the next people coming after you don't go through that? Heal for them.
Or even how do you make it a better story? Because I would understand that somebody, that might be a source of propelment for somebody.
Yes.
But then how would that story evolve? Because there is no, okay, this might be misconstrued in a way, but I feel it is okay, as you've said, to consistently tell your story, but then how do you refine that story? Because they say anything that comes after a birth is invalid. You might say that, hey, I did not grow up with parents and everything, my mom rejected me, but that alone enabled me to do X, Y, and Z, and this is why I do X, Y, and Z. Can then people be able to realize that, and how can we train that to people?
I think as you keep telling your story and you get the feedback, I think it's very important to take in the feedback and to also evaluate, after I tell this story, what am I trying to communicate?
And what are people saying after I say it?
What are people saying after I'm saying, or what impact do I want to create by telling this, let me use a bad word, sob story. Once you use that sob story, what are you trying to, are you trying to evoke sympathy? If that's your goal, you will keep telling the story if that is your goal. But are you trying to evoke sympathy? Are you trying to evoke understanding? Are you trying to tell people that, yes, I went through this, but this is me right now? So you really have to think about that story of yours, your end goal. Why are you telling? Why are you still holding on to it? Holding on to the pain, is it helping you? Holding on to that frustration you went through as a child, is it helping you? If it's not, turn it into something else. Turn it into that, as you said, propelling you to be better, do better for yourself, prove them wrong. You see, it's helping, it's positive. You're using that pain in a positive way.
When are we getting an upper summit?
What?
When are we getting another upper summit?
That Oh gosh. You know,
Yeah.
when is Meron's birthday? I think it's tomorrow. Meron, the lady from Ethiopia
Yeah.
that we just connected on LinkedIn. It was so weird. I just
Yeah.
saw her post on LinkedIn. She wanted to come to Kenya, do a program with youth. And I was like, yeah, this is something I can do. And in a month, we came up with that. But it needs funds, number one. It needs funds. It needs some level of organization, which requires time. Again, I was younger, I had more time on my hands. She had also more time on her hands. It was part of our school project. So it needs time. But if an organization is willing to do it, I would happily plug into that. I don't think I can do it by myself. I'm big on collaboration, but I would love to do it again because I do love empowering young people. And you learn more by giving. Even through that Upward Summit, when we were interacting with different people, I was also learning as I was teaching. So I do remember that summit, and that week was fantastic. I would love to do it again if it's possible. If there's anyone out there who wants to do it, we can partner in that. Yeah.
Interesting.
And make it bigger and better.
Yeah, bigger and better, and include more guys and all of that.
Maybe for the sake of our viewers, you can tell us what you learned from Upwa, how that week was for you. Because I can't speak much of the impact. It's people like you who can speak about the impact.
You know, I think I've never really gotten to put my fingers onto like the real impact that it created. But given that this is something that I've talked about over and over again, probably it left impressions within my head that I was like, okay, this should be the ideal setting where persons with albinism come together and talk and share and listen and learn from one another. What really fascinated me about the summit was, as I said, even when we were beginning, I had never seen so many persons with albinism. And at that particular time, it's interesting how I even got to know this whole community. I think I'm washing a car for somebody. She speaks about Agnes Mugure and Alex Munyere at the National Council.
Oh, Mercy. Her name is Mercy. Mercy Mugure.
Yeah, Mercy Mugure. And Alex Munyere. Like, okay, interesting. Oh, there is communities that you can join, yada 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 yada. Me at that particular time, I did not even have this whole perspective of inclusion, disability awareness. Me, I was about to get the bag. I just wanted to go out to get myself out of poverty. So I think I met with Mercy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Mercy who connects me to Alex. Then Alex connects me or introduces me to Dr. Choksi. So that's how that whole circle,
train.
that whole train started.
Okay, nice. Yes. So hopefully soon we'll have Upwa again. Yeah.
What would be your closing remark from this conversation?
Wow, so much. I think I've been throwing nuggets here and there. But, well, different messages for different people. For people with albinism, I think don't be afraid to be yourself, to accept yourself as you are, because the world takes you at your estimate. I will keep insisting on that. To parents of children with albinism, I know this might be, it's all new to you. Maybe you're in an environment where you're the only one who has this child with albinism and no one else in your immediate family has a child with albinism, and you're just wondering, what do I do? But I think every child is a gift from God, so treat the child as a gift, and as they grow up, that confidence and love that you pour into them, it is what will carry them up to their old age, because I think for me it is what is carrying me up to now. The love and acceptance and the peace that I had as a child is carrying me now, so that I don't have to fight for anything and see any small thing as an issue to fight against. For employers, I think don't be afraid to hire persons with disability, but if you agree that yes, you're going to hire someone with a disability, be ready to support them. Don't hire them and then you start saying, no, we can't do this, we can't do this. If you're hiring, please be clear on the support you're going to give them. Otherwise, don't hire at all, because it's making their lives harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not worth it being in an environment that, yes, you're getting paid, but it's so toxic and you don't feel like you're being supported and you're not being accepted. So if you do it wholeheartedly, be true to yourself, or don't do it at all. To our advocates out there, starting organizations, again, stick to the principle. If you say you will do something and you purposed and you have a constitution and you registered an organization saying that I want to do this, please do it. And when you can no longer do it, just have the courage to come forward and say, I need help, I can't do this anymore, and maybe I need to step aside and let someone else do it, or close down the organization. I think it's only fair. So integrity, it's a very expensive principle to have. So just have that principle of being true to yourself. Yeah, but I think that's my closing remarks.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Great. Pleasure.